How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a blessed day. Today we're getting into the 180-degree thermostat install. And of course I had to get the new part out, check it out, examine it, and make sure everything was perfectly fine before installing it in the car. And of course take a thumbnail as well right here. Of course you'll need the 180-degree thermostat, you'll need a tuner to change the fan settings within the tune, an oil drain pan, as well as a ratchet and a 13mm socket. This was me attempting to slide the oil drain pan underneath the car, but since I dropped from the 22s, the car is too low to slide it right underneath. Just to give you all a visual representation, I showed it right here, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab the jack. Then I quickly realized my jack can't even fit under my fender anymore, so here it is up front under the K-member. Now that the car is lifted up legitimately about 1/4 of an inch, the oil drain pan slid underneath perfectly. Now it's time to start loosening those bolts that hold the hose to the housing. You'll notice as you get the first bolt off that a little bit of the fluid will start leaking out. However, that is just the very bare minimum that you're going to be dealing with here. To get the hose out of the way, just move it on over to the left near the head. Now, I'm no expert mechanic, but that thermostat does not look healthy whatsoever. I think it was time for a new one anyways. Now, this is where it got a little messy. You're supposed to be able to pop these right out, but as you see me prying, it wasn't happening. So I switched positions. And look what happened. It decided to just let go. Yes, sir. That is perfect, huh? It don't matter anyways. We knew this job was going to be messy, but it's all about the fun. And of course, I have to retrieve that old rusty, dusty, and crusty thermostat, so let me go ahead and get one of those magnets. Can't leave it in the abyss like a 10mm socket.
Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob! SpongeBob, careful! Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob!
Patrick, the lid's already off.
Now that I've fished it on out of there, let's take a closer look at it. This thermostat absolutely had to go. There is no reason that this thermostat should be so gunked up. This is absolutely atrocious. Please, please, please make sure that your engine is not currently running a thermostat that looks like this. I mean, come on now, just look at this high horse performance 180-degree thermostat. There is no reason to have one of those old crusty, musty, dusty thermostats in, and make sure this little hole, the little valve in the 180-degree thermostat is facing straight up at 12 o'clock. I have seen a couple videos online where people put the hole at 6 o'clock, and that is improper. If you do decide to install this part yourself, please make sure to do it correctly. I did adjust the thermostat just a tad bit once more to make sure that it was completely centered at 12 o'clock. But come on, look at this brand new thermostat. I am glad I decided to install the 180-degree thermostat because that other thermostat seemed like it was on its last leg. Now this is one of the most simple things to do on a motor. All you got to do is take the hose, put it back in place, secure it with the bolts, and then snug them up to make sure that you're not going to be leaking any coolant. Please do not be the person who sits here and over tightens the hell out of these, because you are going to snap the head off and it's going to be one of the most painful headaches that you've ever experienced. Now as you can see, this back bolt is just a little bit irritating because of the lack of space to move, but this front bolt is a breeze, easy peasy. And personally, after I get both sides tightened down, I go back and make sure everything's perfectly snugged up so nothing's going to leak. It's a good habit to always double check your work, especially when working with motors. Time to fill that coolant reservoir back up. However, I have never used this coolant before, so this is basically a test run for me. I've read about it online. Many people recommend it right next to the Mopar, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. And of course, we got to give the jug a little face. Make sure to fill this coolant reservoir to the top, because after that first start, half of it's going to be going already just from cycling through. And of course, I recommend refilling it after that first startup just to make sure you're good for a while. Now it's time to grab that handheld tuner and adjust the fan settings. Plug it on up to the OBD2 and wait for it to load. Now once it's all loaded up, go ahead and click Advanced Tune and then go into Tune Select, click Modify Parameters, and what we're going to be doing is going to the medium, low, and high speed fans and turning each one of these down 20 degrees. Now what this does is tells your fans to kick on 20 degrees sooner than previously written in the tune, which will then work in unison with the 180 degree thermostat, keeping your car running a whole lot cooler. Now, without adjusting these fan settings, having a 180 degree thermostat installed is not very useful or practical. You'd most likely see absolutely zero improvement. I did do a couple of things because I rewrote the whole tune, so I went in and turned MDS off and such because nobody likes it. Then when you're finished with all of that, go ahead and click apply tune, follow the instructions on screen, turn the key off, turn the key on, turn the key off, turn the key on, turn the key off, turn the key on. Then you'll finally have the tune uploaded. Now the tune's updated and everything, the last thing to do is go for a drive and make sure everything's perfect. However, there's a couple more things I personally need to do before I can do that. I'll check back in with y'all in a couple minutes. We pulled up at the gas station right at 165, 170 degrees. Just double checking after the first little bit of the drive that right here ain't leaking, right here ain't leaking, nothing. I hand torque type shit, but wanted to make sure. And the fans are kicking on and everything. Time for the legitimate first drive. Everything seems to be working properly. Now we've been cruising for a minute. We've been cruising for a little minute, 186 degrees, around 2,400 RPMs this whole time. 186 degrees. Right now I'd be seeing 194, 196 degrees on the previous thermostat that was in the car. So if you can see, that says 181 degrees. Usually sitting through this exact car wash, I would reach temps of 199 degrees to sometimes over 200. Sitting at lights and everything before I installed this thermostat, my car would raise from 185 to 193 to 198 at every stoplight. Now I know the car isn't completely dry, but I took it through the car wash to make sure that there's no residual coolant sitting on my bumper in any sort of way. So, for example, it would be around 185 or 187 right now, and now it's at 183. I'm gonna speed this up, but let's watch it. Typically sitting at this exact light for this amount of time, it would go from around 188 up to 195 to 198 just from that one light. So this is a major improvement, and I'm very excited because if you did not know, these HEMIs over 190 degrees start pulling timing because they're hot, they're heat soaked. That is what they're programmed to do. That's what they're tuned to do. So keeping the car under 190 degrees and making the most power possible consistently is going to be immaculate. And I'm going to do a full review. This is only one drive, and I'm going to put it through the test and see if this 180 degree thermostat actually holds up to the test of time and keeps the car cool during track days, during me sliding, during a couple of burnouts or so. We're going to put it through the test of time. I'm going to catch up with y'all in a few minutes. Again, sitting at the light, 185 degrees. This thing is already working way better than I anticipated. It feels happier. It sounds quieter. And this is irritating. It sounds quieter. It sounds happier. It feels happier. I mean, it absolutely feels like this engine is in its prime. This is the prime temperature. See, typically we would start out with this 188 degrees displayed on the dash, and by the end of the freeway cruising 85, 86, we'd see temps of 195. So I'm absolutely loving this. I highly recommend it, and stay tuned for the full review. Y'all, I gotta add this in the video because this is funny as hell. So I just brought a family member up to the hospital, parked over here while I'm waiting for people inside to do what they need to do, da-da-da. There's people in there, so I can't really go in. I was like, I'm gonna pop the hood, I'm gonna check, make sure that there's still no coolant leaking, none of that. You know, so I'm looking under here, checking everything out. And then I looked down, I was like, no, No. Luckily, it's just water. But yeah, before I hopped up under there and looked, as soon as I saw that, I dipped my fingers in it and made sure. Because if I smelled some sweet shit, I was going to call a tow truck. It's maintaining that temperature way better than I expected. It's around 190 at the most. I've seen 190. I haven't seen 191. I appreciate y'all tuning into the video. If y'all liked it or learned something new, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and comment what you want to see next. YouTube videos are about to start dropping once a week, and stay tuned for some things that we got lined up. We're taking the 300C to the drag strip for the first time, having a birthday meet for me and my boy, and a whole lot more. And I may or may not have a special video on how to make a 5.7 liter HEMI as quick as a Hellcat reliably coming here soon.